The question at hand is Karl-Anthony Towns sabotaging the New York Knicks season? I ask that because there's a lot of things that have gone on this season that actually started prior to the season actually commencing. I said in the intro, or I asked in the intro, did the NBA, NBA media, NBA elite conspire to uh, short circuit the New York Knicks chances of a NBA championship before it actually had a chance to start this campaign? The reason I ask that is this. Hmm. Karl-Anthony Towns in the last 11 games, sans this short 2-game winning streak, and I know people are like how convenient, but this 2-game winning streak had nothing to do with Karl-Anthony Towns whatsoever. Let's get that straight right here, right now. Because if you look at his, if you look at the two games in which they won that he played, albeit with quote unquote. Matter of fact, the last game he played was against the Philadelphia 76ers. He had quote unquote back problems, back spasms. Okay. He played 16 minutes, 10 points, 6 rebounds, and in 16 minutes, he fouled out. Really? In 16 minutes, he fouled out. The previous game, in which was a win, a historic win against the Brooklyn Nets, he played 20 minutes due to the blowout nature, 14 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 fouls in 20 minutes. So, for everybody who thinks I'm just going to pick and tiptoe in which court and allow myself to be biased against Karl-Anthony Towns, you're probably correct, but I just wanted to get that out there. So, beginning with the game that led to them having a players only meeting, the disgraceful effort on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday holiday, in their yearly matinee against the lowly Dallas Mavericks, in which they lost 114-97. At that time, they had lost 9 out of 11 games. Now they have lost 9 out of 13 games. They're 4-9 in the last 13 games. Whoopee. In that game, he finished with 22 points on 9 of 19 shooting with 18 rebounds. But here's an interesting stat. If you count 11 games from MLK matinee game backwards, in his last 11 games, dating back to December 29th against the Pelicans, he's committed 4 or more fouls 8 times in 11 games. He is also averaging just 17.4 points per game in those 11 games. This is not what you need out of your co-star. This is not what you need out of someone who wants more touches. This is not what you need out of the player on the team that's getting paid the most. Here's another interesting stat. And this is nothing that you'll find on any of these sports shows or pods. No. This is something unique to yours truly. This is something unique to Mike Steph. And that is the kiss of Steph. Yes, the kiss of Steph. Prior to this 2-game winning streak, they had lost 4 out of 5 games since I received tickets to go see the New York Knicks in person at the Garden from my lovely daughter Mia. Belated Christmas present. Why do you say I call that the kiss of Steph? Because that's what it is. It's just the way it is. Dun, 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 dun. Things will never be the same. Dun, 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 dun. It's just the way it is. Dun, 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 dun. Ah, baby. So yeah, blame me. Feel better? Blame Mike Steph. That's what you do in times of fear, in times of panic. When it comes to all things Knicks, when it comes to all things Metropolitans, then when it comes to all things Jets, you just blame Mike Steph and your problems will be solved. Now, back to the question at hand. The boos went full effect at that Martin Luther King game. And I know, yes, I'm harping on the losses. I don't care about the wins. Until we get back to where we were right after the NBA Cup, I'm going to harp on losses. Why? Because my cup is going to be half empty when it comes to the New York Knicks, or the New York Knickerbockers, I should say. Karl-Anthony Towns said the following after that embarrassing effort during the holiday about, actually a week ago today. I mean, you spend what, $140 to represent your favorite player with a jersey, Towns said, and you come to an MLK Day game at the Garden, and the tickets are twice or three times the price, and to come here and spend your hard-earned money that you saved to bring your family to this game, and for us to come here and obviously not only win, but which is disappointing, but not really have a chance, I'd be disappointed too. And fans, they spend their hard-earned money. They give us so much love and motivation to go out there, and they're expecting the results, and so do we. So fans are doing their part, and we just got to do ours. And I'll give him the benefit of that. I'll give him kudos because there was no backtracking. There was no giving the fans the thumbs down. There was no, yo, we need your support, blah, 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 blah. He's taking in account, listen, the effort has been subpar. The results have been subpar, and we got to eat that. So I'll give him credit where credit is due. But two things. One, when I go and see them, yes, I'm going to the Sacramento Kings game. The Sacramento Kings are abysmal. I can tell you right now. They're 12 and 35 on the season. 12 and 35 on the season, but yet they did beat us when we went on that West Coast string. The Kings are 3 and 19 on the road. And that's the game that I'm going to. So to put the kiss of Steph really in action, let's see. Can the Knicks overcome the kiss of Steph? And, of course, the Sacramento Kings, who are abysmal on the road? Or will the kiss of Steph rear its ugly head in the Mecca and allow me to be witness to a losing effort by these Knickerbockers? But when it comes to Towns and Mikal Bridges, no. I'm not letting Mikal Bridges off the hook. Not letting them off the hook. You know what they should be called? Soft and softer. Another year, another disappointment. I have a question. Why should we believe? Why should we believe as Knicks fans? There's plenty to believe about. When you have Cap and when you got Josh Howard as the heart and soul of our team, sky's the limit. When it comes to Karl-Anthony Towns, the limit is the sky. But how about this excerpt from an article about the game in which they played Golden State a couple weeks ago that encapsulate the dilemma of having Towns on our team? Draymond Green tormented Karl-Anthony Towns on the court during the Knicks' loss to the Warriors on Thursday. And then on his podcast last week, saying the Knicks center voice weakens his ability to trash talk. Towns need to go. Bridges, to me, is stealing money. 5 picks, and he comes up short when needed most this season. No contact. He won't go to the line. He doesn't want no physicality at all. Something got to give. But back to Draymond Green and his big mouth ass. OG Anunoby and I was having a conversation, Draymond said, and Towns comes over and joined in talking. He told me, hey, man, you're going to start talking in the last minute and half of the game? You're a front runner. Now, one thing Karl-Anthony Towns can't do is call me a front runner. His voice changes way too much to call me a front runner because we don't even know which cat we getting. The fact that this is going 2 years running, that cat hasn't just taken the liberty to smack the SHIT out of Draymond is concerning, but on par with what you expect out of Karl-Anthony Towns. Look at this man. Does this man look like the epitome of toughness, of roughneck? No, not at all. But the fact that we don't have a goon, we don't have somebody that's going to go and step in his face, Draymond's face, and be like, yo, what's good? That's a little bit troublesome. On top of the fact of why OG talking and chumming up with Draymond? Like, now, another issue, and this I'm going to get off Karl-Anthony Towns for a minute, but another issue that was bubbling underneath the surface, but it seems like at least in the last 2 games has gained some traction in the opposite way, gained some traction in the positive way, has been Mitchell Robinson wanting to be more involved on the offensive side. Mitchell Robinson asked, and this is according to the New York Post, Mitchell Robinson asked and his New York Knicks teammates listened. It has been noticeable that in recent games, they are looking to find him more when he's rolling to the basket after setting a screen. It has mostly resulted in alley-oops. I tell them when we're watching films, look here, I'm wide open. Throw it to me. I do a little dirty work, so reward me. Robinson said after the Knicks 112-109 victory against the Sixers this past Saturday in Philadelphia. That's kind of how it is. And tell you the truth, he's not wrong. Everybody wants to espouse the positives of Mitchell Robinson, how he gives us extra possessions, how he's a monster on the offensive boards, how he's a demon defensively, how he keeps everybody in check, which is true. But at the same time, if that man wants to get the ball in his hands, or at least want to score sometime, let him score. And the easiest way to let him score, alley-oops. Unfortunately, from what we've seen in game, he has a very limited offensive bag. But if getting a couple alley-oops is going to keep the energy on the defensive end, or going to keep the energy on the boards, what's a couple lobs? Plus, it keeps his man honest when he rolls off that screen instead of them trying to trap Jalen Brunson for the most part, which that's who he's using setting the screen for. If it keeps that man honest, that opens up Brunson, that opens up McBride, that opens up whoever's handling the rock to even go one-on-one or to have that room to get other people involved, even if the first option isn't giving Mitch Rob the alley. Just saying. Now, another thing that was in that article was how Mike Brown is supposedly been adjusting the system to Karl-Anthony Towns, which I'm tired of this narrative. But I'm going to read this. He's getting more comfortable, Brown said, after practice past Friday. But also, too, I've had to make some adjustments to help him out, make it a little easier for him, which I've done. It's it's in the different play calls and actions that we do. We made the adjustments to try and make it a little easier for him and to try to put him in positions that would help him get into stuff quicker. Now, Josh Hart had this to say when it comes to uh, getting Karl-Anthony Towns a little acclimated to the new way of doing things. It's a little different, Hart said, but we're basketball players. We got to be able to adapt to different situations. I think coaches have to adapt to their players, and we have to adapt to coaches. I think there's a good middle ground. Sometimes we're still trying to figure it out. At the end of the day, he's a good offensive player. He's going to figure that out. We got to make sure we focus on defense. I don't want to hear too much about his touches. I want to hear about him blocking shots. Shot thrown. Shot fired. Other words, listen, I hear what you're saying. If you're doing what you're supposed to do on the defensive end, then you have a reason to complain about the amount of touches, the amount of shots you're getting on the offensive end, just like Mitch Robb did also. Listen, I'm doing ABC. I'm doing all the dirty work that none of y'all are willing to do, or I'm helping y'all get those second and third opportunities. Yo, throw me a bone once in a while. Throw me a bone more often. That's heard with receptive ears because everybody's like, listen, Mitch Robb, he don't ask for much. And he's doing all the dirty work. You, my G, when you're constantly missing assignments, when you're constantly catching stupid offensive fouls that prevent you from giving your all on defense because you already got 3 fouls in the first quarter. Now we got to put Mitch Robb in a little earlier. We got to put Yabusele in, which Yabusele never gets in, but you get my gist. You done messed up the whole rotation because you don't know how to stop fouling. And your fouls are not even based on playing good, hard defense. Your fouls are frustrating. Your fouls are being sloppy on the offensive. And you want to know why they don't want to give you no touches. Now, lastly, and this goes back to, once again, the sabotaging, not of Cat, but of or from the NBA elite, the NBA media, the NBA sphere at large. Here's a little quote from an article that was in Yahoo Sports yesterday, attributed to ESPN's Bobby Marks, because it's trade season and he has that trade machine up and running. Bobby Marks laid out a comprehensive breakdown of the league's trade landscape and where Giannis Antetokounmpo fits in from the Milwaukee Bucks. Among the teams discussed, of course, the New York Knicks stood out as the franchise that Marks believes could realistically assemble one of the most compelling trade offers if Milwaukee ever opens that door. What do you mean? If this is all we've been hearing about all season long, that Giannis wants to come to New York. Giannis don't want to be the bad guy and force his way out, but that's where he wants to go. Preliminary talks was had. They chose to table it. And that's when they decided to re-up with Mikal Bridges. So now we're pretty much locked at that apron, right? So being the fact we're locked at the apron, it has to be mano y mano. The money must match exactly, right? If you're going to get somebody of Giannis' stature, both ball player wise and financially, who are you going to match? Karl-Anthony Towns. That's already been established. And that's the reason why Karl-Anthony Towns has been in his head all season long, because he's shook. He's like, listen, for the first time in my career, a team is telling me, I could get somebody better than you. Think about that. He was in Minnesota all those years, right? The Knicks did that trade because they felt Karl-Anthony Towns was a better option for them going forward than Julius Randle. So they brought him into New York to team up with Jalen Brunson. This is the situation of the New York Knicks saying, you know what? We tried this. Giannis out there. We could get Giannis. Yeah, we need Giannis. If I'm the Knicks, well, first of all, I don't think that would happen at the trade deadline, no matter how much we're struggling. Because that's not a move you make mid-season to try to win the championship. You make that during the off season, so you go into the season fully locked. Number two, do I want Giannis now? That man been out for like the last week. He been having problems with his calf, and everybody knows when they start having problems with his calf, you know it's about to pop. Yeah, that's right, the Achilles. And just our luck, just like the Jets had, just our luck. For as bad as Karl-Anthony Towns have been for us this year, yeah, I know he's averaging 20 and 11. Still, that's not Karl-Anthony Towns numbers. That we know he could rock better. Imagine how it would be if we ship Karl-Anthony Towns away and we get Giannis, and within the first 2 games, Giannis pops his Achilles. Now we don't have him for this season, and we don't have him for next season. And guess what? We're locked. We're locked into the team we have with a big gaping hole. Think about that. I don't think I want him in the offseason either. See, the problem is, to me, and the problem with the league is this. The old guard is still here. People say, oh, Giannis is only 30, something, which guard? Yeah, he's not the old. Trust and believe. To me, Giannis is still part of the old guard. He got 11, 12 years in. The reason the league is the way it is right now is because everybody's still clinging on to Steph. I love Steph. But Steph is 37, 38. LeBron is 41. Harden is still out here. How? I don't know, but Harden's still out here. Even Kawhi, to a certain degree, is old guard. KD is still out here, old guard. The new Jacks don't have room to grow. Don't have room to grow the league as it is in its present state now. What the Knicks have had in their renaissance the last 5 years have been all for one and one for all. And I'm not saying Giannis is going to come in here and be on some diva crap. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we've evolved and we've revolved our team around Jalen Brunson, for better or for worse, depending on your view. But everybody knew their roles, right? When we had Big Ragu, DiVincenzo, he knew his role. Before Julius Randle got hurt and before he got traded, he knew his role. Karl-Anthony Towns, to me, it's part of that old guard too, but he's refused to know his role this year. He knows what it is. He just doesn't like it. If anything, we get some ancillary parts and we run like that. I best believe after the trade deadline, when nothing happens with the Knicks, when it comes to Cat, I guarantee the Cat that we got the majority of last year, all this stuff about he don't know his role, he not comfortable with his role, he not getting enough touches, I guarantee he'll ball out. Because at least for the rest of the season, because he'll know he's safe for the rest of the season. He ain't got to uproot nothing. And he damn sure don't got to go to Milwaukee in the dead of winter. Off season? Is he mad because he didn't get re-upped? Probably. But at the same time, dude, you soft as Charmin. Listen. All I know is this. The Knicks I swear, they better win. They better win. I'm not even talking. I'm not talking about championship. I'm not talking about playoffs. I'm talking about when I when I put my feet, when I bring myself into the Mecca, they better win for Mike Steph first and foremost. And if they don't, then this kiss of Steph really is a thing, isn't it?